bar. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His breath clearly said it all. His car was parked behind the back door. Tuxedo black, El Camino, 1969. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His filthy fingers said it all. Yeah. Give it all. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His lazy eyes said it all. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. He said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. All right, give it to me, yeah. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Baby, give me some love. Well, na 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 na. something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're so. And I quit my job for you, even quit some friends for you, 'cause you couldn't stand it, me all independent, so you had to have me for yourself. That was when I trusted you, when I could add up 2 and 2, when you promised we'd be together, you, me, forever. Now there's nothing left to lose. And though I understand it's hard sometimes to make up your mind in these trying times, yeah, I just can't accept you leaving me when I'm overseas with the heart so heavy. Think that I deserve the truth for once, not a guilty tone, 'cause you're not alone, yeah. You said you wanna come home, but I know you don't. So this time I it's all up to us. So let's fight it, make a stand and try it. Everything will matter from now on. Matter from now on. Let's fight it, there's no way to hide it. 'Cause everything will matter from now on. 'Cause it's high time. I can hear the sound, and I know that it's alarming, yeah. 'Cause time is running out, and we can't just stay and watch it, no. Oh, we dream about all things being alright, but we freeze when it's all up to us. So let's fight it, make a stand and try it. Everything will matter from now on. Matter from now on. Let's fight it, there's no way to hide it. 'Cause everything will matter from now on. 'Cause it's high time. Yeah, we must fight it now. 'Cause nothing else matters from now on. It's high time. No matter from now. Yeah, it's high time.
Run the intro. Today is Thursday, September 9th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. Systems of oppression are around us everywhere we look. But in order to address those systems, we have to address the people who are not only maintaining those systems, but benefiting from those systems. We're going to discuss that throughout the day. We're going to begin with On the Clock. Georgia Ford is out today, and so I'm going to fill in for her. I want to begin in the state of Georgia with the case of Ahmaud Arbery. This is a case that is reminiscent of so many other stories we've seen across the country, particularly in the intersection of Black lives being killed by police officers. And now we've seen a turn of events. The district attorney who provided cover for the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery has turned herself in for obstruction of justice, interfering in the prosecution or in the process of getting justice. She took the side of the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery. We'll get a few more details in this clip. Take a listen in.
Former DA Jackie Johnson facing an indictment in connection to her actions surrounding the Ahmaud Arbery investigation. Arbery, as you'll remember, was a 25-year-old black man jogging through a Glenn County subdivision in February of 2020 when he was confronted by three white men and shot to death. Greg McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and neighbor William Bryan are all charged with murder. This new indictment alleges the former DA Jackie Johnson prevented two police officers from arresting Travis McMichael on the day of Arbery's murder. Johnson is also accused of violating her district attorney oath by, quote, showing favor and affection to Greg McMichael during the investigation. Greg McMichael was a retired chief investigator in Johnson's office.
Of the Michael Brown case, and anyone who's not familiar with the district attorney in Ferguson, Bob McCullough, and how he actively facilitated the role of being the defense attorney for the police officer, Darren Wilson, who was accused of killing, or rather who actually did kill Michael Brown. This is representative of those systems of oppression that I spoke about at the beginning of this episode, because if you think about it, no system manages itself. No justice brings itself, right? It requires human beings to be in the system to either get justice on behalf of marginalized people or to do what Jackie Johnson did, who used her relationship with the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery, who gunned him down vigilante style as he jogged through the streets of Georgia. She actively intervened. And we see this happening and replicating itself because of the friendly relationship between the policing agencies in this country and district attorneys and prosecuting attorneys. Because of the closeness of their relationships, whenever we see instances where the police have to investigate themselves, we find prosecuting attorneys or district attorneys actively acting as though they are already on the side of the police. And that's because, generally speaking, throughout history, we have seen, particularly as it pertains to Black lives, we have seen over and over again how it's not only an injustice in the sense that we've lost the life of Ahmaud Arbery and so many others, but it's an insult to injury. It's salt in an open wound, because the people who are trying to tell us that they represent justice actively facilitate injustices every single day across this country. And it's not only white people who do it. I'm reminded of Daniel Cameron in Kentucky, who actively used his role as the attorney general to suppress the prosecution of the people involved, the police officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. I have seen time and time again in this country how we have been told this is justice. And for anyone who's operating in good faith, we can see it clearly that this system has actively used what they call justice to deliver injustices to marginalized people, particularly Black people. But this case is particularly insidious. It's insidious because, well, it mixes in every single aspect of the system of oppression that we deal with every single day. Ahmaud Arbery was a Black man running, jogging, exercising. We can't sleep. We can't go out to restaurants. We can't go jogging in neighborhoods without the vigilante white supremacists in the form of the McMichael brothers, in the form of Darren Wilson, in the form of George Zimmerman, actively feeling as though they have the authority to not only confront us, but to take our lives and to see that the system that tries to tell us every single day that this is nothing more than justice. The fact that it took 30 days to even get George Zimmerman to be arrested. The fact that Darren Wilson not only was not prosecuted, but he got a bonus by doing an interview on television. It is so much the case in this country that every time we see a police officer killing a Black person, they become venerated, they become heroes, they become wealthy, and they are protected by a system that says that they're here to protect and serve us. And we've seen that that is quite to the contrary. I want to move now to COVID-19, because the absurdity of what we are seeing around this country is far more than what I think we are able to process right now. If we really think about the magnitude of death, the numbers, and the insistence by our political leaders that everything is fine, that we should simply just send our kids back to school in the middle of a pandemic, when even on the best of days, when the sun is bright and there's not a cloud in the sky, schools are petri dishes for our children. And we're in the middle of a full-blown global pandemic that in America alone has claimed the lives of some 700,000 people that we know of. And yet we are now seeing in Miami-Dade County that after the first 10 days of school, 13 employees, 13 staffers died of COVID-19. All 13 were African American. I have to repeat that. In Miami-Dade County, where school just started some 10 days ago, 13 staffers have already died. All 13 were African American. And we're seeing this going on all across the country, not just with adults, but children. In San Antonio, there's a report that every single elementary school teacher in a particular school in that city came down with COVID-19. Can we really pause for a minute and consider the absurdity of the moment when we know full well where we're headed with this pandemic, now with the Mu variant spreading across the globe, being found in the state of Florida? The Mu variant, where we're concerned that we're going to get a variant that is resistant to the vaccine completely. But we're still stuck in the most absurd timeline where our political leaders are actively doing things that are going to get more people killed. I want us to take a listen in to this next clip that gives us some details about what we're seeing in this most absurd moment in our history as it pertains to COVID-19. Take a listen in.
Back to school plans in disarray as the highly contagious Delta variant of COVID-19 continues to surge throughout the U.S. Since the school year kicked off in late July, at least 1,000 schools across 31 states have closed due to the pandemic, according to data service Burbio. In Florida, 15 Miami-Dade County public school staff members died of COVID-19 in just 10 days, including a 30-year teaching veteran in the area. Earlier this summer, the state's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed an executive order banning mask mandates at schools.
We're not doing that in Florida, okay? We need our kids to breathe.
But according to a new Axios Momentive poll, a majority of parents with school-aged children, 59%, say they support mask mandates for all students and staff, including 66% of independents and 32% of Republicans.
The absurdity of the moment. So many people are dying, and yet still our leaders are sending our children back to school. And while I definitely want us to focus on the absurdity and the insanity of leaders like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, who, quite frankly, as history is going to be recorded, they will go down as mass murderers because they are actively engaging in policies that will exacerbate the death total. While we must place an emphasis on them, we must also look at all of the Democrats across the country who told us that we should send our kids back to school. And now we're dealing with the Mu variant. I want you to take a listen in to this next clip, because I think people are failing to realize that simply because we got a vaccine for COVID-19 does not mean that the rest of this country that is still out in stadiums, still out partying, still out going to work in the system. And I actually, let me just restate that sentence, because I do agree with some people who are saying, like, if you're going to force us to go back out to work during the pandemic, don't criticize us when we go out to play in the pandemic. If you want us to die for capitalism, then don't say anything to us if we are going out to enjoy the little bit of life that we have left because of the absurdity and the obscenity of this capitalistic system, demanding that we go out when this country knows full well this country is capable of providing subsidies to every single citizen and every business. We spent $2 trillion in Afghanistan, some $300 million a day. You cannot tell me that that would not have been sufficient to ensure that we never got anywhere near 100,000 deaths, let alone 700,000 in this country. The culpability goes across the board. It is not simply just the Republican Party, who are, quite frankly, sociopaths who are actively doing what they can to get us killed, but it is also the negligence of any leader who thought that it was okay to jam our kids back into school and thought that it was okay to not provide a monthly stipend to help people stay home, who thought that it was okay to, instead of providing businesses with the subsidies that they need to survive this pandemic, they said, no, what we're going to do is allow this foolishness around all these conspiracy theories, about all these anti-maskers. We're going to allow this foolishness to be coupled with the demand for people to go back to work so it will maximize the number of deaths, all so that we could brag on a healthy economy. The absurdity of it all. Do we not see ourselves? Do we not see what we are actively doing, not only to our children, but to future generations? And then, of course, I have to answer my question. Of course we see it. And of course, our leaders don't care, because right after we get out of this pandemic, we also have to worry about climate change. But I digress. Let's run the next clip, David.
Am I saying it the right way, Dr. Mike? Is it moo?
Not moo, mew.
Oh,
Mew.
Mew.
Gotcha.
What is it?
Mew. Greek letters. It's a variant, and it's in every state in the United States but Nebraska so far. The good news is it makes up less than 1% of the cases. So we're dealing with the Delta variant. And so this mu variant is a variant of interest, meaning they're watching it and they're seeing if the mutations make it more transmissible, make it less likely to be affected by antibodies, whether it be monoclonal antibodies or vaccines. We just have to watch and wait.
Yeah.
Another reason to get vaccinated and wear masks.
Is it worse than the Delta variant? Do we have enough information on that yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's not that common.
Okay.
Originated, I think, in Colombia.
I feel like that's how it always starts with the Delta. Oh, it's not that common. Then it becomes common.
That's right. It's not that common initially, but then it becomes common. And we're actually debating right now whether or not we're even in the second wave in earnest, because in many respects, we have been in a consistent level of idiocy surrounding this pandemic. But most certainly with the Delta variant and now the Mu variant, we're going into a new phase where we're not even sure of what's to come and whether whatever that is to come will be resistant to the vaccines that millions of us have already taken. In the backdrop of this, I really want to take some time to deal with this, because in the backdrop, we have all of the conspiracy theories. We have all the people who are actively using every bit of their energy to ensure that we make no progress, to ensure that we don't wear masks, to ensure that we pack our kids into schools during the middle of a global pandemic. We had a clip yesterday of a young kid at a school board meeting who was advocating for masks. And in the audience were parents, ostensibly parents, who were laughing and booing a young child as he advocated on behalf of the life of himself and his classmates. But we have seen a concerted effort by conservatives, the likes of Steve Bannon, who was an executive assistant to President Donald Trump, who is actively ensuring that as many people, and he's organizing to this effect, that as many people as possible show up to school boards around the country so that they can do exactly what you're going to see in this clip. We saw it in Kentucky. We saw it in Tennessee. We've seen it across the country where people who probably don't even have children in these schools show up at these schools to ensure that the students in those schools get COVID-19. Let's take a listen to this clip of this young man, and I want you to pay close attention to the audience as they boo him, as he defends the fact that he believes that students should wear masks. Take a listen in.
If I get COVID, I'm going to bring it to my family. And I talk to my grandparents a lot. They're higher risk than me, so I don't want to give them COVID. This time last year, my grandmother, who was a former teacher at the Rutherford County School System, died of COVID because someone wasn't wearing a mask. This is a very
Hey guys, we're here to act professional. Please, sir, go ahead.
Thank you. This is an avoidable issue, and by not wearing masks in schools, it's irresponsible. We're killing people. This is not something that we should be doing for the education of our students. Thank you.
My only consolation in this moment is that, well, so long as the servers are up, and so long as this country has not imploded, and so long as we haven't destroyed the planet, history will record this moment in 4K in great detail, almost down to the name of every individual who actively participated in maximizing the deaths from COVID-19. The only consolation I have in this moment is that those of us who survive, and those of us who survive the impending climate disaster, we will have a recorded history of every politician who executed policies that got people killed. It's not much, but it's almost all we have at this moment, because it appears as though America has fully abdicated its responsibility to the care and the concern of its people. So to that end, I have to kind of, have a moment of abstraction and not look at us in our present condition, because our present condition is such that 3 Virginia state troopers have resigned after it was discovered that they have been involved in producing fraudulent COVID vaccine cards. And the matter is now being investigated by the FBI. But I want you to, before we play this clip, I want you to hear this. We are in a moment where the people who are ostensibly there to protect and serve are actively facilitating the spread of COVID-19. Just take a listen to this clip.
2 of the 3 troopers, Sean Summers and Raymond Witkowski, resigned in early August. Then last Friday, a 3rd trooper, David Findle, resigned following an investigation by the Vermont Department of Public Safety. Director of the Vermont State Police, Colonel Matthew Birmingham, released a statement saying, in part, quote, "I'm embarrassed that this situation has occurred and know that it has tarnished the reputation of the Vermont State Police. That said, the alleged criminal conduct from these troopers does not represent the values and actions of the dedicated men and women of the Vermont State Police."
And if they are lying about being safely vaccinated, that could really be impacting a huge number of people's lives.
In a statement, Vermont Public Safety Commissioner Michael Sherling says, in part, "We do not believe there is anything more the state police could have done to prevent this from occurring. As soon as other troopers became aware of this situation, they raised the allegations internally."
I appreciate that other state troopers turned them in. I have respect for good officers.
Since creating fake COVID-19 vaccination cards is a federal crime, the FBI, along with the U.S. Attorney's Office, will be investigating. A spokesperson for the FBI said they couldn't comment since the investigation is ongoing.
Where are the adults? I want to pause and ask the same question again. Where are the adults in the national conversation, in the national discourse? Because the people who have the platforms, they are either actively creating a scenario where we're going to see so many more deaths, or they're tiptoeing around the reality that we don't have time to play with these intentionally obtuse morons who would sit back and watch millions die because of a derangement that is, quite honestly, deeply rooted in white supremacy. The core of this, the overlap between those people who are in those audiences at these school board meetings, actively trying to ensure that no one wears a mask and that no one takes the vaccine and that no one socially distances. The Venn diagram is 100% overlap with those who don't believe Black Lives Matter, with those who are going to support this upcoming, the second part of the insurrection, of the terrorist attack on January 6th. There's another one coming up. Those people who are in those audiences advocating to make sure that your children don't have any protection from COVID-19, they're the same people who are going to be marching to support Donald Trump. The overlap is uncanny. But the absence of adult leadership to oppose this with as much energy as it is being brought to us. You see how these people are in the audiences screaming. They are ranting. They're angry. They are so desperate to have an opportunity to kill as many people as they can from COVID-19. And I think it's time that we respond in kind with the same energy, the same vitriol, and whatever it takes to ensure that we protect the lives of our children. We have so much more to go today. We're going to be joined later on by Rebecca Zor. We have Chuck Modi, who's coming in to tell us about what's happening in Washington, D.C. There are so many intersections of where we see how Black lives are being targeted, and the overlap between the targeting of Black lives and the obscenity and the absurdity of what's happening with COVID-19 is something that we're going to discuss in great detail throughout the rest of this show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from the Benjamin Dixon Show.
and stones may break my bones, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, no, no. I know it's hard to be polite, and it's easy being petty. My mama used to tell me, gotta use you when he ready. Man, it's crazy how my brother said it could've been my cell. It's either prison or a grave, that's what everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking pictures off your wall. Cause loving people who persecute you, it's still a tough light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith's strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel that disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me. No, it just can't hurt me. No.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, people.
No, you just can't hurt me. No,
good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. It's your boy DJ Exclusive is in the building. James Bo Williams is here. Hope y'all are having a good morning this morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, y'all. Come on in, get situated, get settled, get your coffee or tea, whatever it is you eat. Get your morning started. More coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon. So, y'all, good morning.
It's crazy how my brother said it could have been my cell. It's either prison or a grave. That's what everybody tell me. Man, life ain't a beach, it's a female dog. I'm staying 10 toes down, though I still might fall. Oh yeah, now I done came through, knocking pictures off your wall. Cause loving people who persecute you, it's still a tough light up on my path and a lamp under my feet. I know my faith's strong, but my flesh still kinda weak. When that victory be looking like the verge of defeat, and I feel that disrespect, help me turn my other cheek and say sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words can't hurt me. No, you just can't hurt me. No, I ain't been right more than I've been wrong, and it still can't hurt me.
Exactly.
No, it just can't hurt me. No. No, you just can't hurt me.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see y'all. There we go. Now I see y'all, man. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, y'all. Come on in, come on in. Make sure that you hit that like button while you're waiting for Benjamin Dixon to return, man. Hit that like button. Go ahead, share, comment, hit all that good stuff, man. So you know what is going down now. Good morning, everybody.
Yes. They say the world would be a better place if we take out the hate. Stop all the hate right now. Yeah. Let's keep it real, it be better.
Lily, you are my sunshine, Lily. Thank you so much. Good morning, Lily. Good morning, everybody. Nicole Johnson, Environmental Coffee House. Good morning, Sun Queen, Evergreen. Brother Tiger, good morning. Courtney, the SLP. Nat, hey. Roosevelt, good morning. Roosevelt, Republic of America. I got space.
No, you just can't hurt me.
TL, good morning. Laura, what's going on, Laura? Oh my gosh, I hope everything is okay, Laura. Prayers to you, sister, man. We hope everything is okay. Shout out to you, Laura, all right? Let us know that you're doing well, all right? Ear Hustler, good morning, good morning. Melody Dennis, good morning. Miss Sophia, good morning, Miss Sophia. Nicole Johnson, good morning. Susan Bradley, good morning. Miss Nuru, good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Make sure that you stay tuned while we're waiting. Have a slow jam moment. Sun Queen, good morning to you. Truth the Dragon, good morning.
Ooh, baby, it's like the world is on.
Brother Lateef, good morning. Malia, good morning. Malia, good morning, baby girl. Afraid not, good morning. Sonny Wright, good morning. Brenda Johnson, good morning. Alicia Lucane, what's going on? Stephanie, what's going on? Sonny, good morning. Mara Sharice, what's going on, sisters? Good morning, everybody. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Show, y'all stay tuned. Good morning, y'all.
I got a brand new love. Take me away, girl.
Environmental Coffee House, good morning. I got my coffee over here on the side, and it is busting this morning.
I found an angel.
I just want to go get me like 3 other people and do some old Temptation songs while I'm in the front just singing. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. So high, yeah. I got a brand new love you. Take me away, girl, to a new level. It's 700. I found an angel. My cousin. It is. Hey man, I just said that number group right there is Bubba and the Temptations. I got Dwayne, David, and B in on background. I'm right here in the front busting out. All right, y'all. It is time for time. Welcome back to the screen, my brother from another mother, y'all. Good morning again. It's time for more Benjamin Dixon show, y'all. Good morning, y'all. It's 700.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday, September 9th, 2021. We are joined by none other than my brother from another mother, DJ Exclusive. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing this morning, brother Ben?
I'm doing good. Listen, we shall not be doing any backup singing and harmonizing. Not unless we're in person, because that Zoom sync is horrible.
Zoom singing is terrible. Look, already like talking is.
trying to pace your tempo in a conversation on Zoom is terrible. So imagine trying to tempo a song. But I digress. I love that. What was that song? That old school song that you just got done playing?
Angel Among Us by, hold on, give me 1 second, by Vincent Vega. Now I played that one before, but it's been a couple of months since I played it. So I'm just like, let's drop a slow jam on them this morning. So yeah.
We're feeling that, man. We appreciate it every morning. And I also I don't necessarily have to. I love the transition of covering these heavy stories, these international news, foreign policy stories, and then transitioning into something that is more tenable. Because honestly, if all we do is stay angry, well, I don't think many of us are going to live much longer. So get us a couple of good dad jokes, but only 2 today, James. Only 2.
I can't make any promises, but I got you.
Now, this next clip we're going to play is not funny, but I am going to make it funny once we're done listening to it. This clip is a mashup by The Recount. It's a new media organization, and so far they've been putting out nothing but really good content. So we want to share this mashup that they put together as it pertains to ivermectin, the horse dewormer medicine that is being promoted by the likes of Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Jimmy Dore, who are all, Alex Jones. We played the clip of Alex Jones taking ivermectin on air. The Recount has put together some reporting on that, and I think it's worth taking.
Over the past month, calls to poison control centers in the U.S. have jumped way up regarding ivermectin. You might know it as horse dewormer, moo juice, or sheep drench, useful for killing parasites in livestock. But despite warnings against it, plenty of people are trying to take it to treat COVID.
We have zero medical training.
This is the dose for 200 pounds.
Of horse. 200 pounds of horse. The stuff is apple flavored because that's what horses like. When podcaster Joe Rogan contracted coronavirus last week,
turns out I got COVID.
He said he was taking
all kinds of meds. Ivermectin. I literally got it from a doctor.
Some doctors are prescribing it. Human prescriptions for ivermectin are now way up, 24 times the pre-pandemic baseline. But the pharmaceutical company behind ivermectin says it's not effective against COVID. The FDA says please stop taking it unless you have parasitic worms or head lice.
I'm not a doctor.
Fortunately, most people aren't seriously harmed by ingesting ivermectin. Just don't take a horse-sized dose of it. What's more dangerous is people skipping the vaccine and then hoping this will work instead.
Now that I've made this decision not to get the vaccine, I started looking around online to find somebody that could give me some ivermectin.
After 4 weeks in the hospital, 61-year-old Phil Valentine died on August 21st. His family says he regretted not getting the vaccine. Some of the research promoting ivermectin as a COVID therapeutic has been retracted, rejected. The largest clinical trial was discontinued last month after it was determined ivermectin was no better than a placebo at preventing COVID hospitalization.
No effect whatsoever.
Dr. Pierre Corey, whose own paper was rejected by a scientific journal, makes the kind of bold claims you don't expect from a credible doctor.
A wonder drug. If you take it, you will not get sick.
Though they are the kind of bold claims that get you invited onto Joe Rogan's podcast and Fox News Primetime, where they spread from host to host,
Ivermectin,
grow larger and wreak havoc on human bodies.
James,
man.
Now there are 3 studies, and I want to be very particular with my words here. There are 3 studies that I have seen. One of them has been itself, I believe, dismissed, but 2 studies that have not been dismissed that show that ivermectin can cause sterility in men to the tune of 85% of the men. There are 3 different studies that say that. One of them has been rejected, but I'm just for the life of me, there's no study whatsoever that says the vaccine is going to cause you to shoot some blanks. And there's no study that's saying that ivermectin cures anything. I have Phil Valentine's book, the radio host that was just talked about in the recount. Smart guy. He's now dead because he tried to use ivermectin versus the vaccine. And I think that is where the biggest threat is, just like the recount said, because people are honestly out here thinking that they can survive by taking ivermectin versus going to get the vaccine. And if any of those studies, if you are going to possibly become sterile over this horse dewormer versus going to get the vaccine, James, I don't know what you do with that level of stupidity, man.
You know, it's one of those things. Like I said yesterday, I know ivermectin is used for if you have ringworm or roundworm, which means that the doses that you're taking is not going to be that much. I want to know exactly, too, and it'd be real good to find out what is the doses that these people are taking to make it cause sterility in men. Like, are you ingesting that much of it that you giving yourself self-castration? Basically.
and far be it from me to intervene with people who are either white supremacists or they are white supremacy adjacent. Far be it from me to intervene in their own white genocide. But at the same time, the people who are contracting COVID-19 because of the kind of ignorance that's being promoted by Fox News, they are spreading it to other people. And others are dying. And so it's like, the absurdity of the moment does warrant some laughter because these people are really, between catching COVID-19, which causes erectile dysfunction, and ivermectin that possibly causes sterility. I really, it's hilarious. But now, it's 880%. Oh, this is from the poison control. Poison control calls have jumped 880% for the horse dewormer drug ivermectin. It's FDA approved for humans in some cases to treat parasitic worms, but not COVID. 880% increase, man. So even if it's not causing sterility, it's causing a lot of people to get sick.
Yes, Ben. And you notice now everybody, and I want y'all to pay attention. Pay close attention to what you're hearing and what you're seeing now. All these radio hosts and podcast hosts, everybody is saying the exact same thing. Right. They're taking these over-the-counter drugs that they think are going to cure COVID-19, and what happens? They end up going to the hospital, and they end up dying. And everyone is saying the same thing as their last words. I wish I would have gotten a vaccine. Y'all pay attention to that, man. Y'all pay attention. It goes back to my old point when I said it's your choice, it's your decision that if you want to get the vaccine or not. Pay attention to what's going on, what's happening to these people right now. Pay attention. It's a whole lot of this going on.
James, I cannot imagine for the life of me dying from this level of stupidity, man. I am fearful of how many people die because of this ignorance spreading COVID-19 to like bus drivers. I'm thinking about those 13. According to the recount, they said it was 15 employees in Miami-Dade County, but NPR said it was 13 employees in Miami-Dade County who died all within the 10-day period of starting school. All 13 were African American. And I know that while it is, yeah, man, like chances are, like any of us who are from the crib, we're going to know somebody who knows somebody who died in that group. But the thing is like, it is the absurdity of the moment that is really letting conservatives get away, and some people who claim to be progressive get away with promoting this thing and it literally being a part of what's causing the spread of COVID-19. Because for every person who thinks ivermectin is going to save them, they are actively probably going to spread this to someone else. So it's not a contained issue. If it was contained only to the ignorance of white supremacy, I'd be like, okay, but it's not. I got one more clip, James, I want to hit before we move on. And it is a clip that is stating the truth that there are variations of ivermectin that can be used by human beings. Let's take a look at that.
Ivermectin, which can and is around the world used to treat and prevent the spread of the coronavirus. It's not some crackpot fish tank cleaner. It's a real drug.
The FDA tweeting, "You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all. Stop it."
Ivermectin is not a recommended treatment for COVID-19. It is not a recommended drug to prevent COVID-19.
Ivermectin.
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 Ivermectin. And ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
It's all coming back to some sort of mind control.
Because treating an illness doesn't get your mask on, doesn't get your kids out of school. They don't want to talk about recovery.
Because they're a threat to higher-priced medications and vaccines.
And now you have YouTube censoring Senate testimony of Dr. Corey talking about ivermectin.
It's a really important point that you're making because Google's YouTube removed 2 videos.
And there's a good chance everyone listening at home has never heard of ivermectin because Google has gone about censoring.
They took all of those posts down.
We know that our FDA has in many ways failed us by not allowing for the use of ivermectin.
A miracle drug when it comes to treating COVID-19.
I'm not a medical expert. They haven't even given emergency use authorization for ivermectin.
Taken early, it can mitigate symptoms of COVID-19.
This was a bad week for those who made it their business to bash ivermectin.
It's the new McCarthyism.
If it's extremist to wonder about the origins of COVID, if it's extremist to wonder about the utility of masks outdoors, if it's extremist to wonder about ivermectin as a therapeutic drug, then count me as a radical.
It's from Media Matters. They put that compilation together. So while there is a variation of ivermectin that can be used by humans, as we watch and track these stories, there have been plenty of livestock companies that have had to reject requests to get ivermectin in the horse dewormer format. And James, you said something before we played this clip that I think everyone should really take some time to think about it. How is it that Fox News and all these people on the internet, people who claim to be progressive, there's a lot of people who all of a sudden are now promoting ivermectin as if it is something that they have known about all their lives. And I got a feeling they ain't know about it until somebody sent them an email and say, hey, can you help us promote this?
Yeah.
Because how are they all on the same page all of a sudden? It's wild. It's wild.
This whole thing is just crazy. I was just saying, it's just crazy, man. I'm like trying not to get emotional, bro, because it's just like, are y'all really pushing this rhetoric right now?
Yeah.
This is what we pushing, and like
Over
it's
the
all
vaccine.
from Fox News over the vaccine. So you telling me that you telling people to take a horse dewormer versus getting the vaccine? Like Marquez said in the chat, the vaccine is free. This ivermectin junk, I guarantee you, their sales are probably increased 1,000%.
Yep.
And you look at Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm sure if we search far enough that there's somebody who making some money off of ivermectin high up, involved in Fox News, and there's a company-wide email that went out like, "Hey, this is what we gonna talk about for the next couple weeks. Go ahead and just keep pushing this, keep pushing that ivermectin stuff." And somebody's pockets is just growing.
Which brings us back to the frontline doctors. I don't know if you have those images from yesterday, Dwayne, but it was the doctors that stood in front. I forgot which building they were standing in front of this on this photo, but these are the doctors who are actively promoting ivermectin. They have a website where you can sign up for a consultation, and then they will prescribe it for you. There are rumors or rumblings, not rumors, there are rumblings of a class action lawsuit against this group because while they're taking your money to give you a consultation, to give you a prescription for ivermectin, they're not even showing up to the consultations. So not only are they trying to sell you snake oil if you manage to go through their process, but they're getting you. They're hitting people across the head. They're charging people $100 per evaluation and not delivering them. And I want to put emphasis here because this is the same group that promoted the idea of the woman on the screen now of the demon sperm and sleeping with devils in your dreams and all that kind of foolishness, because I need people to understand that just because somebody puts on a lab coat doesn't mean that they are not without some sense of ignorance. Like let's be real. A lab coat does not cover up conspiracy theories.
Say that, Ben. Say that, brother. Because I can go get a lab coat right now. I ain't got nobody's doctor experience.
Hey, bro, we should do a segment. You and I should do a segment where we throw on a lab coat and we imitate what these people are saying, because these are the same people who promoted hydroxychloroquine. Remember the people who were dying? They were getting, and this is the thing, like, people were getting fish tank versions of hydroxychloroquine and dying from it. But this is what Fox News was telling them they should take versus the vaccine. Somebody, Dwayne, you're right. Somebody is making a whole lot of money off of this, and it's costing a lot of lives. And this group that you see on your screen, the frontline doctors, those are the doctors who Joe Rogan specifically mentioned. They are the ones who gave him the prescription, according to that clip that we heard yesterday. And these are the same people who believe in demon sperm, sleeping with demons in your sleep, and hydroxychloroquine. And they are also very, very strong supporters of -45 Donald Trump. So, yeah, if you guys want to follow them to sterility, by all means, help yourself.
Right.
That said, I want to go to a clip that we talked about yesterday. This is from Right Wing Watch. They're a fabulous organization that keeps an eye on the evangelicals. It's a very hard word to say, evangelicals. The evangelicals who are promoting a level of derangement and bigotry in their churches every single Sunday. We played a clip earlier this week of Dave Daubenmire saying that he was going to team up and raise $100 million, and he intends to do it to badger corporations into funding his culture war. We have an update on how they plan to use that money, but I want to first remind you of his justification for raising that kind of money in the first place. Let's take a listen in.
This isn't some fly-by-night, flimsy little thing we're doing, okay? This is big. And one of the directions we're going to go as well is we're going to find out everybody that gave money to BLM, every major business donor that gave money to BLM, and we're going to go ask them about their Office of Diversity. Aren't Christians diverse? You're giving money to BLM? Are you giving any money to any Christian causes? Are you guys anti-Christ? Aren't Christians part of the diversity plan and the diversity movement? We're going to badger those folks into funding our war as well. That's our plan. We're going to put this money in the hands of warriors. And I'm believing that 30 days from today, we're going to have $100 million. The left will never know what hit them.
Okay. That's the first clip. James, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, and he's right. Because let's talk about it. Because some of the work that I do, I hear and know a lot of stuff. Okay, so some of these companies, I already know one of them that is used to donate to, let's say, Christian belief organizations on this money that they get. There's one company in particular that actually stopped and actually started donating because the LGBTQI community was upset because who these people were donating to. But these same Christian organizations that he's talking about, Salvation Army being one of them, doesn't support or believe in Christian values, air quotes, that marriage should be between a man and a woman. So these organizations getting all this money and everything, he's right. I give him that. He probably is going to get that $100 million, but no problem. But
now, James, before you finish your thought, you got to hear how they're going to spend it. At least they're honest in their grifting. They are extremely honest. This next clip is Sherry Tippenny, and she's partnered with this guy, and she breaks down how they plan to keep 20% of $100 million. Play the clip.
It is an LLC, and the donations are not tax deductible. I think that's really important. We're not doing the 501c3 and having to keep track and send back things so that we can get a benefit from the government to raise money for good. Yep. We're raising money for good. Like, it came kind of a tagline from Brett, who said, who's funding good? And that's sort of the tagline of our organization, who's funding good? And how we're going to be able to do that. What we're planning to do with this is that we're going to have transparency on the donations. About 20% of the incoming donations will be for salaries for us, and we're going to be hiring a whole bunch of people and basic business deductions. I mean, your rent, your phones, things like that are your basic legitimate business deductions. So out of that 100% that comes in, about 20% will be salaries and basic business deductions. Then our plan is, of that remaining 80%, we want to donate in the terms of grants, 90% of that on a monthly basis.
What are you going to do with the 10% of the 80%, sis? It's not good enough that y'all already getting $20 million off the top for salaries. Bigotry is a hell of a career path in this country, man.
Somebody said in the chat, easy, evangelical grifting.
Anytime people like that start talking numbers and throwing percents in there, they just doing that to fool the people who don't really know math.
Absolutely, Dwayne.
But here's the thing, Dwayne. Like, getting 20% of 100 million is kind of easy math. That's $20 million. Like, do they really expect people? And actually, let me answer my own question. Yes, they fully expect their audience to be dumb enough to help them raise $100 million. And James, you might be right. They might get it. All in the name of Christian revolution, right? And of course, you and I haven't even addressed, and we might wait for the next segment to address the underlying accusation here that anyone who is not their white type of Jesus is not a Christian at all. And he asked a question, the Dave Meyer or whatever, he asked a question in his clip that we just played saying, are we anti-Christ? I'm anti-white Christ, white Republican gun-toting Jesus. Yeah, I'm definitely anti that because Jesus I serve is black AF. James, take us to a break, man.
Take it, Ben.
My Jesus hair is like is woolly as my beard, bro.
It's woolly. Hello. Like steel wool.
Feet with like bronze iron. I mean bronze. Like come on. What white person we know? Love y'all, but what white person we know with bronze feet? But anyway, I know
somebody said, and I do know one of them with woolly hair. That was my dog, the painter.
Bob. What's his name? What was my man, the painter? He definitely had the woolly hair, though. I give you that much.
Dang, I can't remember his name. Bob Ross.
My sister dressed up as him for one Halloween. I'm like, you know what? That brother might have had a little melanin in his skin, but I digress.
Bob Ross probably had bronze feet because he was probably walking around outside in the woods with no shoes on.
With no shoes on, bro.
It was a perm. It was a perm. I saw the documentary. His son admitted it. It was a perm.
James, we got voices coming from everywhere this morning. Listen, we got a lot more news to cover. We got a lot more real serious stuff to cover. But before we do that, DJ exclusive, brighten up our world, brother. It's in your hands. We'll be back after this.
What'd you say, Ben? You want to hear a dad joke? Okay, cool. No, I'm just playing. I'm not going to hit y'all yet. But we will get into our... before I okay, and that's it. We'll get our Patreon and everything. Tomorrow, I know David is a busy man. Busy man. We work David to the bone, so he didn't get a chance to get the Patreon list today. But anyway, y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next with Rebecca Azor. Read a couple of comments here that we had. Let's see. The Chicken Fried Dragon said that apple flavored tube of ivermectin is $10. That's terrible. That is terrible. Okay, Lee Spanner says there is nothing like being dumb. The smokers, drinkers, and heart disease diabetics worrying about the vaccine. Thank you, Lee Spanner, for that. All right, y'all, make sure that y'all stay tuned. Get my dad jokes list going on. Get a couple of songs going for you as well, too. Make sure that y'all stay tuned. Sun Queen, this is Strike a Pose by NHBD NBHD.
Make it work. 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 Strike a pose, girl. Strike a pose, girl. I could spend it on you, freeze you up, you cold, girl. Put you in positions, curling up your toes, girl.
$10 could be gas. It could be regular gas or gas.
If I win, she win. We count the minutes together.
Thank you.
If it's real, it's real. This'll be forever. If it's hot or cold, get through any weather. If it's all I know, together we're better.
Ooh, that was a good one. Let me read that one. Chicken Fried Dragon also said, bro, you already don't pay taxes. Now you want more money? How about we tax churches after the first 250K? Hello? Lee Spanner again. The hatred that Christian espouse is unbelievable. But I guess the Confederates losing the Civil War and then passing their hate over to the evangelicals is even more amazing. Y'all better say that. Y'all saying some stuff this morning. Good morning, everybody. Again, y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned. Mars Reese, I'm upset too when he said a perm. I don't know Dwayne. I mean, not Dwayne. And Dave know what he's talking about. But yeah, there is a documentary on Netflix that everybody needs to check out about Bob Ross. I definitely want to watch it. It was like a perm, like big perm, like from Friday.
Is this what you want now?
Go with that. Right, Dwayne, a perm. Savage Sweetheart, good morning to you.
Is this what you want now? Or is it because you can't forget her? I can't keep pretending it's not getting to me. It's never ending. Can't give you what you need.
According to SLP, me too.
You're misbehaving. Yeah, it's getting to me. It's never ending. You can give anything, so you can go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Yeah, so I can focus. I just need a focus.
That's right, y'all. I like that. Y'all drop y'all words of affirmation this morning on this Thursday morning in your chat. What's your words of affirmation this morning? Y'all go ahead and drop them in the chat. Mine is...
I just need to focus on myself.
I can do everything
This is what I want.
once I believe in myself.
And yeah, I'm waiting for something.
Yes. I can do anything. There we go. I can do anything because I believe in myself. Period.
This is what I want now. No, I want
Drop your affirmations down in the chat, man. Let us know what your affirmations are for you this Thursday morning. And we'll make sure we get Ben's, Rebecca's, Dwayne's, and David's by the end of the show, y'all. Y'all stay tuned.
It's not getting to me. It's never ending. Can't give you what you need. Oh, no, no. You're misbehaving. Yeah, it's getting to me. It's never ending. You can give anything, so you can go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Yeah, so I can focus. I just need to focus on myself.
Good morning, Mama and Daddy. Good morning. Love y'all. Good morning, Q. Love y'all.
I just need to focus on myself. So you can go. So I can focus. I just need to focus on myself.
Anne-Marie says, I am stronger than my fears. Yes, you are, Anne-Marie. Yes, you are. I always believe that. Mom says, nothing is impossible. I can. Amen, Mama. Okay, here we go. Dwayne, what's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
I'm not sure.
One is really heavy and the other's a little lighter. Get it? A little lighter. You almost had it, David, I'm sure.
When I get you back, oh yeah.
Right.
When I get you back, oh yeah.
Y'all know I ain't got no sense, man. Come on. All right, Nat A says our affirmation is to be more vocal. Let's see. Brother Luke Kang says Brother Luke Kang said his affirmation is on my mama, on my hood, I look fly, I look good. Amen, Luke Kang. That's my dog right there. Brother Chuck Dixon, good morning, Brother Chuck. Rosie Bean says be your own advocate because no one else is going to do it for you. Amen. Amen to that. Rosemary, that's word right there. Yeah, hustler, don't you run away from me.
No, I don't want to lose you, baby. Don't go.
Be the low frequency. Good morning.
When I get you back,
Strip the Dragon, thank you. This, see, y'all like that one. Y'all like that one. Okay.
When I get you back, oh yeah.
Julie Van Oster says, I may have been a victim at various times in my life, but I refuse to be a victim in the way I live my life. Man, I love y'all. I appreciate that. Y'all got some decent, good affirmations, man. Really love y'all. I really appreciate that. Anna Hart, good morning. Infinite Content says, my affirmation is bring black Air Force energy to everything.
No, I don't want.
And if you don't know what the Black Air Force is, y'all better look it up. That's real good stuff right there.
Get you back, oh yeah.
And Stu the Dragon says affirmation, I think I can, I know I can. Hell yes. Shout out Stu the Dragon, man. We appreciate y'all. I appreciate all y'all. Love y'all, mean it, man.
There's no one else I'd rather be with. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah. When I get you back, oh yeah.
Shay says, let's do XOXXO. Bob says affirmation, don't put off your dreams because others think you can't achieve them. Dope. Yes. Really believe that. Tiger says, I will be able to support my family with my creativity. My gosh, I can't talk this morning. Tiger, you absolutely right. You really can. Laura Strata says it's never too late to have been what one could have been. Absolutely. Shay, lastly, I think I can, I know I can, and doggone it, people like me. Shay, you're absolutely right, because I like you too, and you my dog. I appreciate you. Y'all, it's time for Like It or Not, so y'all stay tuned. Oh, well, welcome back to the screen, my brother from another mother, Benjamin Dixon. Yeah. You like how I recovered from that?
James, I have one more story before we get to like it or not. That's okay. On me. That's on me. I want to take us to Virginia. I want to take us to Virginia, where the Supreme Court there ruled that it was acceptable for the state to remove the image and the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Now, it was erected in 1890, and it has been there, but it has been the bane of the existence of all the people who are descendants of those of us who were the descendants of slaves, and those of us who understand what the Confederacy is, because it's still here. They still want to rise. They have actively been opposing this monument of white supremacy. Let's take a look at this clip from NBC News as they break down how that statue was broken down. This was a monumental event. One of the best things about this, James, you could see the contracting company that got the contract to the construction company, rather, that got the contract to take down the statue was a black company. And so I know that is a wonderful thing for us, but it is certainly insult to injury to white supremacy as they see their hero, their venerated fallen hero, the loser of the war. We don't celebrate losers around here. They got to take that down. So the insult to injury is that black folks got paid to take down this monument, man. This is a beautiful sight to see. And go ahead.
Just go. What white man got these statues in their backyard? I bet it's like a monument full of removed Confederate statues just chilling in somebody's backyard. Some white supremacist mansion is like, yeah, I got all the goddamn statues right here in my yard.
Yeah, this is not legacy. This is about heritage, not hate. So celebrates salutations and solidarity with all people who oppose white supremacy in every form, in any image. May they all come down, and may they all come down while giving just a little bit of reparations in the form of the construction company that got the contract to take this down.
They should have accidentally dropped that thing.
That would.
I was hoping that the same thing. I'm like, I wish I was got a wrecking ball and just knock that thing over.
So that said, I am also reminded of this is in Virginia. This is in Richmond, Virginia. But I'm also reminded of the protesters who stood against the Confederate monuments in Charlottesville and their sacrifice, particularly that I'm thinking of our comrade Heather Heyer, who died back in 2017 as she actively protested against the white supremacists that marched in Charlottesville, the ones that Donald Trump said were good people on both sides. That was a moment that really was a flashpoint, a catalyst that led to this as well. So solidarity with all the members of Democratic Socialists of America, and solidarity with the memory of Heather Heyer and those individuals who stood up against the fascists who marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, some 4 years ago now. And their efforts were not in vain, because we're seeing the fruits of their efforts all around the country as these monuments come down. So I thought that.
Shout out real quick to Hollywood 2000. My bad, Ben. This dang on Zoom thing. Shout out to Hollywood 2000, who says, thank you for your super chat. First of all, it says, we've been fighting for a long time to get it removed. Black Power Fist. Solidarity. We appreciate that.
Solidarity for sure. That said, one other quick story before we are joined by Chuck Modiano. He is a independent journalist in Washington, D.C., who actively has covered every single night of protests that have not stopped since the George Floyd protest of last year. He's going to be joining us and updating us with all sorts of details about the ongoing protest. And Rebecca Azor she's going to join us as well for that conversation, because I think one thing, James, people don't realize is that, whether or not the mainstream media is covering the protest, people have been active around the country every single day. And I think part of the reason they don't want that in the mainstream media is because if the world knew how many people were still protesting to get justice for black people, the protest would be a lot larger. You know what I mean, James? Like they have to make sure we're not actively talking about it. And I think that's part of the strategy. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're right. Because if a lot of people knew the protests that were really going on, there would definitely be a lot more involvement. But you're right. It hasn't stopped at all. Still ongoing all across the country, different cities, everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we have to continue. Right. We absolutely have to continue, because as we looked at the incident with Ahmaud Arbery, right, we look at Breonna Taylor. We look at so many people who have been killed by this system who have yet to receive justice. That tells me that there's absolutely no reason for us to stop demanding that there be no peace until we have justice. No justice, no peace. And so I'm excited to be joined by Chuck Modiano as soon as he is available. That said, I want to go to one more dose of our evangelicals, and it is Hank Kuhnerman, as he declares that questioning his standing as a prophet over his false election prophecies is, quote unquote, grievous to God, and that continuing to believe that Trump will be reinstated is a test to, quote, see really who is on the Lord's side right now. I want to repeat what he's saying. If you are not on the side of Trump, then you are not on the side of the Lord. Y'all, we got to confront these preachers who get tax deductions to preach this kind of stuff every single Sunday. Let's run that clip from Right Wing Watch.
God knew ahead of time that they were going to do this. So anybody out there, if you are saying the election wasn't stolen, that it's the big 45 lie, you need to absolutely get a clue. You really do. You're wanting to not believe it on purpose. And that is grievance to God, because God already said ahead of time this is what they're going to do. There are some things, the way God operates is not subject to man's events, calendar, expectations. Some things, as he's looked at as the Alpha and the Omega, he's looked at things by way of events. So that means it's not subject to our opinion. It's not subject to certain things, of being able to change it. It's going to happen, and there's certain things that need to play out. And what God's doing is testing us to see really who's on the Lord's side right now.
Doc, James, we're going to take a quick break so that we can bring in our next guest. But, Doc, if what is required for me to be on the Lord's side is to be on the side of Donald Trump, then y'all go ahead and get me a reserved seat in hell. I'm good.
Amen, brother. Gasoline draws on. I'm good.
Because let the record reflect and always show that I would much rather spend some time in hell with Black Jesus than any white supremacist. If heaven is full of white supremacist evangelicals, man, y'all send me to purgatory. I'm good.
Hey, if it is, I'd rather stay here on earth, bro.
Facts. Because I ain't trying to be in heaven looking over my shoulder for who trying to lynch me. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we got Like It or Not, Rebecca Azor and Chuck Modiano. We'll be back right after this.
I could really use a change of scenery. Yeah, everybody smoking all the greenery.
All right, y'all, make sure you stay tuned. Like It or Not is starting up next with our sister Rebecca Azor, and Chuck Modiano will be joining us as well. To y'all, make sure that you stay tuned.
I'm still fly. Let's go. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Rules to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the end.
Kareem Ransom, good morning to you.
So right now, say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free. Can't
Dwayne Men over there dancing, ain't he?
It's your time. Oh, cheers to all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny.
I heard that note too,
from behind me, but I'm still fly. I'm still fly. I know. I'm still fly. I'm still fly. Let's go. It could all be worse. I could be a hater like you.
Shout out to Marquez for your super chat. Thank you, Marquez. Marquez said, a friend of mine went bald years ago, but still carries around an old comb. He just can't part with it.
To say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm free. Ain't nobody take me here and now.
Shout out to Marquez for the dad joke this morning. Thank you, Marquez. I appreciate you.
It's my time. It's my time to ride.
Elizabeth Lonzo, good morning to you. Hey, man, shout out to everybody that's on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you stream from. Good morning to y'all. Shout out to y'all, okay? You need to come visit my Twitch family. I'll come see y'all soon, all right?
It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to ride it now. It's your time. Oh, if you're on the bus, say yeah.
Tiger, you know what to do, Tiger. Go ahead, shut that.
You gotta walk, say yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. So young or old, I really don't care. Life has never really been fair. So put your fist up in the air. Say yeah.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody take
XOXXO Bob, this is Still Fly by Rebel Day. Still Fly by Rebel Day. Rebel Day.
It's my time. It's my time to ride. I'm young. I'm free. Ain't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh.
John, they do, I think the song plays so much, it does sound like Ben, doesn't it?
Go and try your luck. Test me in again, we let it rain. Please don't start us up. Got that black and white, that yin and yang. Mr. Officer, please don't search us, we don't got a thing. Tell her park it up. Then that be poking out them jeans. I've been sparking up. Like the fireworks, I keep the flame. Heard you barking up.
Patricia, good morning, Patricia.
I'm charging up. They can't keep up, got them looking drained. Now they walking up.
What's to be good? Good morning.
Pull up and I'm swerving. If a try to holler, she gon' curve him. We came from under rugs like a Persian. We been staying in our lane, ain't no merging. Rapping like a turban. Yeah, these all square like Irvin.
Sylvia Jones, good morning.
Grew up in the hood, no suburbans.
Damn it, Bobby 420, good morning to you. That's literally his lit screen there, y'all, okay? All right, y'all, now it's time to get the thing started. Like it or not, it's starting now. It's about to go down.
Like it or not, with Benjamin Dixon, starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it. I'm Rebecca Azor.
And I'm Benjamin Dixon.
And I'm James Bubba Williams.
And we're joined by none other than our brother from another mother, Chuck Modiano, who is an independent journalist who covers and has been covering at every single stop the ongoing protest in Washington, D.C. Chuck, how are you this morning, brother?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. And thanks for being one of the only spaces that covers Washington, D.C. Everybody comes from all over the country to the nation's capital, but nobody actually talks about what's happening in D.C.
I love that. I love that we can be that for you. I mean, that's one of our goals, is to be voices for the people who aren't heard the most, or for the places where people think people aren't doing anything. And there's so much happening in DC. You are one of those people to keep the camera on, to keep the mic on for the people that feel like nobody's listening. So thanks to you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. And then, as a matter of fact, Chuck, let's jump right into it, because I know your time is limited this morning. We have 2 clips. Tell us about this first clip, and as it pertains to the ongoing protest and the fight for justice.
Is this Antoine Gilmore?
Mm-hmm. Antoine Gilmore.
Yeah. So there were 2 more protests for Antoine Gilmore. First of all, yesterday was the funeral. I attended the funeral yesterday. I didn't put anything out, but that was happening. And on both Thursday and Friday, there were 2 more protests. One that was very family-centered, and young children were out there of the family holding signs and talking. And then Friday, there was a larger protest for Antoine Gilmore. And I think when we're talking about the clip and some of the themes that come out, is that you can't separate the murder of Antoine Gilmore from the gentrification that goes on. Now, I could also talk about the protest that has been going on that we're looking at as well, which is a protest against WMATA. And what that protest is about there is a new proposed law that would make it much easier for police to arrest people on the DC Metro, and just arrest, not convict. And so that's real important. And that happened on Tuesday night. And there was a campaign to talk to people on the Metro and let them know about it. And a lot of that was led by Harriet's Dreams. And Harriet's Dreams has done some incredible work in DC, not just the Nelly's protest against Nelly's Sports Bar, but real community work, getting in and talking to DC citizens to let them know the laws that might be passed in the middle of the night.
Chuck, there's a lot. Wow. I see 3 issues that are intersecting all right there in Washington, D.C., and quite honestly, they're intersecting all around the country. We covered, and thank you for coming last week and telling us more about Antoine Gilmore. But before we run that Antoine Gilmore clip, can you tell us and remind the audience of what happened to that young man?
Yeah, so Antoine Gilmore was in his car, and he was asleep. And the police rolled up on his car, and there were about 9 police officers there, and he was startled in his sleep. And his car begins to move forward, and there are laws. You cannot shoot into a moving vehicle. And yet, like previous people who've been killed in D.C., Terrence Sterling comes to mind, some others, the officer shot into a moving vehicle, 10 shots, and killed Antoine Gilmore. And there's simply no reason for that. He was not a threat in any way, shape, or form. So the community has come out to say, we're tired of this. And here's where the tie into gentrification comes. When you start to look at all of these murders, what happens is where he fell asleep in the car was in the wrong place in D.C., meaning usually it's where white people live, where black people used to live in that spot. So we can't separate the gentrification from the murder, as Jackie is going to explain in much better, more articulate ways.
And that's Jacqueline Luckman of By Any Means Necessary, a wonderful program, and we hope to have her on this show soon, too. Let's run that clip of Sister Jackie breaking it down.
DC police have taken another black life for no fucking reason, other than that black man was in a gentrified area of the city where he shouldn't have been, just hanging out scaring the white people. Where we are right now is one of the most gentrified areas of the city. This was a working class and poor neighborhood full of black folks, working folks, black and Latinx folks. Look at it now. It's being gentrified, gray and buildings with no character. The soul has been stripped away from this city by gentrification. So the white people with the money and the young millennials with the money have been ushered in, and we are the excess population. So every time one of us is in a place where it makes the gentrifiers uncomfortable, they call the cops and they criminalize our very existence in a city that was ours. So we're here demanding justice for another young black man killed by racist police simply because he was his existence was a threat to one of these gentrifying folks.
So you see no distinction between the gentrification policies and the murder of Antoine Gilmore?
No, there's not only no distinction, the connection is direct. Because, look, cops are never our friends, but this area used to be mostly black, mostly working class. We didn't call the cops because somebody was sleeping in their car.
Right.
Who does that? I'll tell you who does that. People who don't have a sense of community and have no respect for the people who were here before they were. So not only does gentrification have a connection, but it's a direct result of the increase in racist police violence against the communities that are pushed out of these formerly working class and poor areas of cities that have been gentrified.
Thank you.
I love how she said there's no distinction, but there's a pure connection. And that was education for me. It's like almost that we knew this, we seen this, we felt this, but we couldn't word it this way. Yeah. Literally, gentrification is leading to the death of many black people. And I hate to put it like that, but I love to put it like that. Okay. Now we have to understand that when she said when there's no sense of community in these black and brown areas where we're used to people being tired and sleeping in their car, we ain't asking about their business. We probably know the auntie, the cousin, the sister, the brother, the niece, the nephew. We're going to go and tell the family member, I done saw such and such in the car by the stop.
In the car sleep, right?
Okay? That's what we're going to do. So they'll pick him up or they'll just be like, he'll be fine or whatever. Give us, where everybody go to sleep and call it a day. Next morning, we move on with our life, but not the nosy neighbors, right? Not these new people that are coming into areas, not respecting the areas or the people that were there before them. So they feel entitled. And this is what we see a lot of times in white supremacy. We see this in the Karens and the Kens who are demanding respect for areas that they don't even respect. They don't even know the history of. They don't even take an opportunity to get to know their neighbors, or anything like that. They just believe I've moved in here. I have all the rights and you shouldn't even be parked or sitting in front of this stoop, or you shouldn't be sleeping in front of your car because that's dangerous to me. And that literally is something that is taking away people's lives. That simple thing. Gentrification is literally causing the loss of people's lives. Make it make sense. And then the train thing, people getting arrested. And we know those people that are out there protesting are mostly what? People of color, black and brown folks, okay? Out there in DC. So when they make those kind of laws and things like that and put those in place and saying, even if you're arrested, and we know a lot of people are getting arrested just for protesting, just for walking, just for any little thing, right? And if you get arrested, you can't ride the train. The train system is a lot of times the only way people can get around. So this all has to do with gentrification. These white folks coming into these areas being afraid. If you say you were arrested once, you are dangerous, you are a thug. All those things are attached to you, just like that man who was sleeping in his car. Right? Antoine, who was sleeping in his car. They didn't know nothing about him. They didn't hear him speak. Nothing. But because he was sleeping in his car, because he was a black man, he was dangerous and he was a thug. A problem.
That's terrible. And you're right, Rebecca. So right. This gentrification is all through Atlanta right now. And everything that's going on, it's community. So once you have these people moving into neighborhoods where, okay, y'all were never here before, now y'all are scared and y'all are calling the cops about everything. It never was back that in the day. You see, like you said, if you see somebody sleeping in their car, hey, your son down there sleeping in the car, you might just want to tap on the window, make sure he good.
That's right.
Now, they're going to call on this brother and end up getting shot or killed. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Brother,
I mean, that's exactly right. And the more DC turns white because the rents are just through the roof, the developers are just making everything unaffordable. What happens is the laws start to change to protect white property. And we keep seeing that white property over black lives keeps happening in DC. It's actually, I believe it's crossed over 50% white, 55%. So you not only do you see the direct connection to a murder of Antoine Gilmore, you see these laws like the Noise Act. Well, who's the Noise Act again? Well, that's against go-go music, which is part of the soul of D.C. and so you have people calling the police because they're hearing go-go music. So they are trying to rip the soul and culture out of D.C. and then criminalize that very culture. And everything we see is a part of that, whether it's the Noise Act, whether it's the murder of Antoine Gilmore, whether it's the new subway laws, whether it was the Nelly's protests that went on for weeks. They're all tied to gentrification, and that's a larger discussion. It's a more complex discussion, and I think no one nailed that quite the way Jackie Lukman did, and you better have her on your show because she's amazing.
That was going to be the next thing I said. Like, can we please get her on here?
Yeah. Get her on here. Send her over here, Chuck. Tell her we want her here on the show because she gives it to us literally black and white.
Yeah, and Environmental Coffee House in the chat says she's a personal friend of hers too as well. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's get these connections going on. We need to come on over.
Yes, that's on me, man. I've known Jackie for she's been dope for some years. So we're going to expedite that invitation to have her on. Chuck, this second clip, man, these people. And Rebecca, you pointed to it, and Chuck, you've already spoken about it. Explain this law that they're trying to pass that's going to take away anyone who was arrested, their ability to ride the Metro. And I believe it's called the Metro in D.C., right? If my memory serves me right.
Yeah, we call it the Metro in D.C. As a native New Yorker, it took me a minute to go from Subway to Metro.
Subway.
But it's Metro. What do you got, MARTA in Atlanta? I don't even know what that is.
I call everything MARTA in every city.
MARTA ain't even real.
It's not. No, when I went to Atlanta, I was like, nobody's even on this MARTA thing. It makes no sense to me.
Hey, man, I wanted you to introduce the clip, not clown our city.
Okay, so basically they're trying to pass a new law that you can be suspended up to a year just for being arrested on the subway. And I don't want to get into the legal details of it, but what the protesters and led by Harriet Dreams are against is that every time there is an expansion of police power, there's an expansion of police abuse of that power. And when you can get arrested and not have due process, then anyone is subject to arrest at the police whim. And we've seen that before in other cases. But I think we could cue that clip.
Let's run it.
We are here to oppose the WMATA vote that will criminalize people that have been arrested on metros and buses. So basically this vote, if you are arrested, you won't be able to ride for 12 months. We know that's an environmental justice issue. It's a racial justice issue. It's a class issue. People rely on the metros and public transportation to get to school, doctor's appointments, work, and this will disproportionately affect low-income black and brown communities. So we're out here to say no to that.
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Just arrested?
Yep. There's no due process. There's no trying to prove your case, nothing.
We're handing out the brochures to passengers.
Our objective is basically to let all of the Metro riders in the city know about this ban that's about to go into effect if on Thursday the WMATA Board of Directors chooses to pass this vote without any civilian intervention.
Essentially criminalizing being on the Metro, using public transit, and we're telling them to vote no.
That vote is on Thursday, potentially?
Yes, indeed. It's been pushed back once, and maybe we can get them to completely kill this but if it doesn't get killed, it's on Thursday. Folks A did not know about it, and when they did find out about it, they were furious. Why were they furious? Because everyone knows cops don't help us. All they're gonna do is and we know, and WMATA knows, who they're gonna with. It's gonna be black people, it's gonna be unhoused people, and basically the police are there to make sure that basic survival is not possible.
To be clear, it's not a conviction, it's just an arrest.
Just an arrest, right? Like we have due process, right? Theoretically, that's not just for rich people. So all of us people who may have negative encounters with the cops in any way, shape, or form, you lose your due process.
So just simply an arrest, not being convicted of anything, you lose your due process and you lose your ability to ride the Metro. Help us. And is that Thursday date today? Is today the day they're supposed to vote on this?
Well, here's the good news. Everyone did flood the phone lines yesterday, as was asked by Harriet's Dreams, that was on the brochure, and that vote has now been postponed because of that action. So it's pushed back, It's not a win yet, but it's a delay, and we'll take the delay. We'll take the delay. Can we just very good local action, and this is what's been going on in D.C. But yes, the language is very vague. So when you use vague language like guns-related charge, weapons-related charge, things like that can be abused, and we've seen that abused. And let me give you an example from the protest that could maybe be used in any variety. When I was covering protests, there was an assault on a police officer charge when someone shot fireworks and it happened to be by an officer or grazed an officer. And anyone in the vicinity could have been charged and was charged with an assault on police officer charge. They may not have even shot the fireworks. So this is one example of the backdrop of what a lot of the protesters know about the D.C. police and their abuse of laws. And if your language is vague and if you do not have due process, they know that expansion of police power will just be more police abuse. And that's really what this is about, and getting in the community and fighting back.
I love it. I love the fact that there was, while it's not a victory, it is definitely a step in the right direction, in solidarity with everyone who called in, because that doesn't just happen.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, there was a Zoom meeting, and about at least 50 people left messages saying, no, I live in Ward 4. I don't want this. And what happened when Harriet's Dreams, just to give you backdrop, when earlier in the week, they polled over 170 people on the Metro and talked to them, and they found out that over 80% had no idea this law was even going to be passed. So they put in some legwork.
Wow. That is that the fact that they would try to do that without people even knowing about it is not surprising, but it is something that I think every city needs to be cognizant of. These folks are not playing games with us. They are most certainly trying to snatch our rights away. And if nothing else, the effect of this is the chilling effect. We talk about it all the time. They will put out a law or a proposed law just to intimidate people, to stop them from protesting. And I think that if nothing else, that's what this is.
That's exactly what this is. I see when I first heard of it, like, I thought simply this is going to be something that really affects people who take the train, system primarily for work or whatever. And especially those who are out there doing the activism work and things like that. If you're arrested one time, regardless of what the reason may be, the fact that you won't be able to take the train, to me, is weird. Like, they're punishing you, like, because they're afraid of you, right? Like, and I'm telling you, this is literally something that is to attack Black and brown folks specifically. And that's why I got the problem with it. Like, these people are moving into these areas or moving into this place and causing these kind of stupid laws to be put in place, or, to happen right under the nose of people while people are doing work, right? People are fighting for real causes. They're like, yeah, we don't want these people on the train with us. Just because you're afraid. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get how that gives you the right to tell somebody they can't get on the train because you scared. How did that even come to play? Who went up there and had that conversation and thought that was okay? It's all dumb, but thankfully, we have people who are on the ground. And I know sometimes it feels like things aren't working, but this is a primary example. I know it's a delay, but a delay can lead to a win. A win being this thing gets thrown out and not even considered. And that's what we're hoping for. And that's all because people flooded those lines and they voiced their concerns. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Chuck, I want you to get the last word. But Rebecca, you said something. Do we know where this came from in the first place? Answer that for us if you can, and then give us the last word.
I don't know. I don't know the inception of the law. I do know people have said it would also be used against the unhoused to clean up the metro. We've heard that as well, and that's a huge concern. But to the protesters, to Harriet Dreams, and some of the work that's going on in D.C. One thing I love about the D.C. protesters and documenting them is that they focus real locally, whether it's Nellie's Sports Bar, whether it is the Metro. And yes, there is protests against national issues, of course. But the local protests are important because when you look at the discussion on the national level, when people are on the left wing, it's always a national discussion. Like, we're talking about Joe Biden and F Joe Biden, by the way, but we're talking about Joe Biden. Cancel that student debt, by the way. Excuse me.
Say that, Chuck. Say that.
Hey, man. Sally Mae after me to this day. Go ahead, Chuck.
So the right wing, they focus locally. Whether they're in power or they're not in power, they're focusing locally, changing laws locally. And what does the left wing do? We get online, and don't get me wrong, we got to talk about it, but we don't hit the streets the same way the right wing hits the streets about their issues and changing policies locally. So in D.C., I really appreciate that that's where the focus is and that we can do both. And that needs to happen in every city.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amen.
Modiano,
yes.
Independent journalist, rebel rouser, and our brother from another mother. Tell everybody how they can get up with you.
You can catch me on Twitter at ChuckMoD1. And I've said it a few times, but I'm just so proud of it. Go check out at Harriet's Dreams, too, because you could really find out what's going on and keep focused on the D.C. Metro and Antoine Gilmore and more.
Thanks so much for the work you're doing, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chuck.
Hey, thanks for having me, as always. Appreciate you looking out for D.C.
Hey, man.
I love the energy. I love the energy.
Mamba wings and the go-go going. We're going to always hold it down for D.C., man.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Thanks so much. Rebecca, not too far from D.C., Richmond, Virginia. Robert E. Lee, he gone.
He gone. They done removed his little statue, monument, whatever you want to call it or whatever.
Robert E. Lee had the little statue removed.
Yeah,
we don't celebrate losers around here.
Yeah, they removed it from its pedestal. And this is a ruling that happened in the Supreme Court, Virginia Supreme Court last week. They unanimously that the state could remove the statue. They voted for that to be removed, saying values change and public policy changes too in a democracy. At least they understand that. Texas wouldn't know what to do with something like this, but at least Virginia, who we've seen in a lot of racist things, front and center, finally. And the causes of most of those racist things that we've seen front and center were because of stuff like this damn monument. Remember? So now we've got it removed. Oh, they did all of that for the thing to still be gone. Because somebody, please make it make sense. They did all of that marching under Donald Trump, saying that these monuments were important, and that they stood for something, and that was their history. They did all of that marching, remember? And they were holding up those Walmart tiki sticks, looking like KKK runners in the night. In khaki pants and collared shirts, coming straight from the college up the street in dad outfits. Okay. They were marching in the name of these type of monuments for Donald Trump. And they still took that monument down. I mean, it makes no sense.
Jane, now it's about to go down.
Definitely. And now we're here at a place, and I think that this is something that we should all really look at to juxtapose.
Come on, juxtapose
the fact. Yes, to juxtapose it to Texas being afraid to fall into the understanding, that things change. Listen, the fact, and I mean, I see it as history has always been history. And honestly, this is unfortunately a part of our history that has always been embedded in our brains and in our heads. This will always be something that we remember. But there are so many other things that happen to fall under Black history, but it's not only Black history, it's history here in America that should be placed into your education system. I don't want to walk by and keep seeing Robert E. Lee. I don't want that. I don't want that at Stone Mountain. I don't feel good when I see that when I'm going marching up Stone or hiking up Stone Mountain. It doesn't make me feel good. All right. And it makes me feel like these people who stole history, actually, I feel like they took a lot of the accolades for a lot of Black people who did the work. And we praise these people for founding places killing off people and all this other stuff when the land never belonged to them in the first place. But that's not even something I want to get into right here. But that should be in your schools, and critical race theory is something that everybody, the spookiness of it all. But it's something that's real and it's actual and factual. And the fact that we see things like this happening, the removal of monuments, which we did see happening a few years ago, and a rise of that happening. But I think particularly seeing this happen in Virginia, where we saw many people rise up to the occasion of white supremacy in the name of these monuments. And now to see this today, it makes a lot of sense. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
Yeah. It definitely makes me feel good. Anytime white supremacy is laughed at and insulted and ground into dust is a good day for us. You mentioned Texas, Governor Greg Abbott. We got a clip of him talking about this new Texas abortion law, and he was asked a question about rape in cases of rape or incest. What this man said, well, nope. Let me just let you hear. Here's Republican Governor Greg Abbott from Texas talking about instances of rape as it pertains to a woman's right to choose. Let's take a listen in.
Governor, regarding the heartbeat bill, why force a rape or incest victim to carry a pregnancy to term?
It doesn't require that at all because obviously it provides at least 6 weeks for a person to be able to get an abortion. And so for one, it doesn't provide that. That said, however, let's make something very clear. Rape is a crime, and Texas will work tirelessly to make sure that we eliminate all rapists from the streets of Texas by aggressively going out and arresting them and prosecuting them and getting them off the streets.
It's not giving. It's not
supposed to give
that I feel
it's not
like
giving
that I can actually believe. It's not giving me believable. It's giving me confused. It's giving me I don't know what I would do because if somebody raped somebody, they're still be pregnant. And if we're going with this abortion law, that's really not going to protect the person that was raped, but they're going to still have that child. But we're going to, it doesn't make any sense. It's not giving what he thought it was going to give. But then people behind him, his Amen Corner, they thought it was giving something. But they was the only one really understanding the confusion, and he wasn't saying nothing. That's why
they didn't understand it. They were just clapping. They was like, "Oh, he said something."
The top class.
Because my question to Governor Abbott, my question to Governor Abbott is, if you can see into the future of who's going to be a rapist. I mean, we generally know the gender of all the rapists, but if you can see into the future and do that, then why ain't you done it yet? Right? He said we're going to stop all rapists. Jen Psaki, Rebecca, you had a wonderful way of describing her last week.
What I see?
Jen Psaki, it's going to come to me in a minute, but I want you to watch her response. I want you to watch her response to Governor Abbott, because it's kind of ridiculous to try to deflect like this, to say we're going to stop all. Go ahead.
Yeah, is it because these people are. What is it? Certified deflectors. What? We have the certified lover boys, right? like Drake, who claims that he is. But Ronald Isley and the Isley brothers had taken the throne yesterday. And now we have these certified liars, these certified deflecting white men. So they've been doing this. They always will do this. We couldn't even do a picture of them in different colors because they all look uniformed and the same. And they've been doing the same thing every single time, right? Well, and they deflect and people agree. Their deflection never makes any sense, and it never leads us anywhere but to more laws and rules that affect people, marginalized groups of people.
Well, Jen Psaki has something to say about it, the press secretary for Joe Biden. Let's take a listen to what she said.
Texas, the governor there was asked about the lack of an exception for rape or incest in the abortion law, and I don't know if you heard his comments, but he said his answer to that question was that Texas will work tirelessly to make sure that we eliminate rapists off the street. I'm just wondering if the White House has a response to that.
Well, if Governor Abbott has a means of eliminating all rapists or all rape from the United States, then there'd be bipartisan support for that. But given there has never in history of the country in the world been any leader who's ever been able to eliminate rapists from our streets, it's even more imperative. It's one of the many reasons, I should say, not the only reason, why women in Texas should have access to health care. So it does not change our objectives, does not change our commitment. The Department of Justice, the Attorney General announced a step on Monday. Our Department of Justice is continuing to look at legal options. Our Department of Health and Human Services is also continuing to look at all options, and the President has made clear that it's a priority to do everything we can to ensure women in Texas have access to health care.
Dang. Like, Jen Psaki is like my age. Her hair doesn't move. She just looks like she's. What happens when you get this position, and I'll get to what she said in a second, but what happens when you get this position is it ages you so much, and because you're sitting in this place and you can't really say what you want to. But I want her to have the energy of that woman who, when she was like, "Good morning, everybody," nobody said nothing. She was like, "Excuse me." So when you're asked questions about rape, it's not that it's if he. Come on, sis. I know you were trying to be kind of slick with it. You're saying, like, and I get it. If he has the means to getting every rapist off the streets, that would be something that we would, follow. It would be a bipartisan thing, right? We would back it, right? But no, it's to say he ain't got the means. He ain't got the answers. So stop coming at me with that. Listen, as a woman, I should know. Listen, rapists are everywhere on the street, and we know that there will not be a way to control them. Why would you want? See, you're trying to control people's bodies with the false sense of hope that you're going to get rapist people off the streets. It's not happening. When you guys aren't trying to protect women, you're literally trying, do my vagina, my choice. And I want to say coochie, but Ben don't like that. Now, I really want you guys to understand, and I want Jen Psaki to really stand in that moment. And I know that she, as a woman, she wanted to stand in that moment. Women in Texas should be have access to health care. Women all over the United States should have access to health care. If you don't see what Texas is doing right now, every time they roll out with something, Florida and Georgia want to come behind it all, that sounds like a great thing to do. Every single time, these southern states are following suit. Everybody's getting affected. But all of the United States should have everybody. All women should have access to health care. Everybody should have access to health care. And I hate that this has to be a conversation, but damn, it ain't no bipartisan thing, because he's not going to put people on the streets to get all rapists. He could be behind him could be a lineup of rapists. A lineup of rapists.
A whole lineup.
Yes.
You can't just look at somebody and assume that they're rapists. You do not. You're not God, my guy. You're just not. So that's what I'm saying.
He wants to be God over women's bodies.
Wants to be God over. But they are. They're making rules over. I cannot wrap my mind around that. I want to make rules over men's penises. I do. Like snip.
I am pro vasectomy. I believe that we should have a program in this country that gives every man who wants one, and quite frankly, since the politicians want to dominate women's bodies, I say we mandate that you get a vasectomy until you can afford to raise your own kids, right?
But people over here act crazy when they hear that. Like, oh, no, like, no. Over a man's body, it's like, oh my gosh, the worst. But over a woman's body, we have that right.
It's like the men's body is just like everything.
A temple.
When women's body is literally the creation of life.
It's a tulip.
A tulip. Tulip.
She's talking about Tulip. She's talking about Tulip from the show Preacher, that movie on AMC.
Tulip like the flower.
Tulip like the flower.
Lotus flower bomb. It will have men in the street looking crazy. It's a lot of power in there. We birth kids out of there. We don't birth kids out of there. You bleed out of there. So many things happen. Strength. I mean, no, seriously. See, that's
out of one place.
Men are all afraid of that. Men are afraid of that conversation, but still want to run your body. You're afraid of all of those things. Don't even want to hear what happens with it. But
Rebecca,
we'll voices over our body.
Rebecca, that's why they want control, because the tulip, thank you, has so much power. Now they trying to harness that power. You can't harness that. You can't harness that.
And can we be? I want to make sure I just throw this in here because I've spent enough time in the church, not just the black church. I've been around some of these white evangelicals too, and I want to tell you that all these preachers who are out here yelling about why you shouldn't get an abortion, ask them how many they paid for. Just ask them that, and then that'll be the end of the conversation.
Because every morning,
did they hear what you just said, Dwayne?
Every morning I wake up and I hold on to my coochie and I be like, I can't believe I have this much power.
Let's move on to the next time. It's the tulip, Rebecca.
I'm going to say what Dwayne said. Rebecca over there acting like she got the infinity gauntlet.
Yeah, I said
with a snap of a finger.
Collecting the infinity stones.
All I'm going to say is Rebecca's doing her very best effort to get season 2 canceled.
I am. But I wanted to say I gotta go. I have a meeting with my
those other folks?
Other job, yeah. And so I have to. And yeah, I know it sucks.
Really
it's so
great
fun
clip
with
for
me.
you.
It's so fun with me. I know, but I have to go. So it is Thursday.
And it's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. We're going to go to the after party. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here and doing everything that you do.
Yeah.
No, you're so welcome, you guys. I love you guys. Mean it. Don't do too much of a hard stop and just be like, all right, Rebecca's out of here.
Let's have fun now.
Yeah.
And now that Rebecca's gone, let the show begin.
Yeah, don't let it all hang out, okay?
Rebecca, we got a patron party tomorrow night. We'll talk to you about that later. Patreon.com/like it or not. Rebecca, we'll see you tomorrow.
I love you guys
at the patron party too.
That's right.
Bye, guys.
Hey, and we're going to take this time to close it out. Dwayne, if you don't mind, bring up the graphic of our brother Pascal, the Pascal Show. For those of you who are not, that's a scream close up on me. For those of you who are not members of Patreon, patreon.com/the BPD Show, or rather patreon.com/like it or not, go over right now to the Pascal Show on YouTube. He's streaming live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. James, let's take it to the after party, man. It's in your hands.
Let's get it. Let's go. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much again for tuning in this morning. We will see y'all in the after party. Hey, and before you go, if you're not already, patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. Now is the time to get in there, get joined, because it's a patron party tomorrow. And the patron parties go down. So make sure that you join today and get access to the patron party tomorrow night. Y'all want to listen? Good morning, y'all. Y'all have a good day. See y'all in the after party momentarily, y'all. Make sure you head over and go support the brother Pascal, all right, in the Pascal Show. Good morning, Justice. Good morning. Alicia, good morning. Absolute, good morning to you as well, too. Good morning, everybody. Make sure that y'all stay tuned.
I'm running too high. I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high. I don't see the ground. I'm running too high. I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high. I don't see the ground. Baby, you set my soul on fire.
Elizabeth Boswell, appreciate you. Singer Queen Warrior, good morning. Industrial Arts, good morning, sir.
And maybe we can't get any higher.
Tiger, yes, sir. Make sure that you do that, Tiger. Oh, before y'all go, Tiger sent me something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I gotta get this red out because it was hilarious.
Whatever you do, my body's getting wild, wild, wild. The way that you move is like a love machine. Like a love machine. Come be my king and I'll be your queen. I'm running too high, I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high, I don't see her.
I can't stand being.
I'm running too high, I need to cool me down. I'm flying so high, I don't see the ground.
Oh, Tiger, you're gonna have to share that with me again because I can't find it.
My soul on fire every morning and every evening. Woo.
Rebecca, we love you too, Rebecca. Bye.
But if you like
Seven Sweetheart said, I got sick the last time I partied with Bubba. Oh, yeah, that's right. We did have Brother Pascal at the Patriot Party, so definitely we need to see Pascal come again. That was fun. That's what it was. Okay. What kind of medication do conservatives take? What type of medicine do conservatives take? Pharmaceutical? Get it? Farm? Shout out to Tiger for that one. Environmental Coffee House. That Twitter is DJX3C. Y'all make sure y'all follow me, DJX3C, on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook as well too, but I'm rarely on Facebook these days. Make sure that y'all follow me, okay? Why I keep playing the wrong song for this one? I have to do this every time.
It's not that I don't care.
This was when I wanted, so we're gonna go ahead. This for my brother Ben, y'all. We'll see y'all in the after party. B, good morning, B. I see you. Good morning. Shout out to brother Tyler Hackman as well too. Good morning, y'all. Infinite Content, I see you.